Hello everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Crazy Tech Reviews. And in today's video, we will finally be concluding the construction process of my YouTube studio. Now, for those of you guys who have been watching back since March, you might have remembered the first part of this, in which we cleared out the space here, set up the stuff on the walls, rearranged these doors here to form this neat wall here, and did several other things to sort of make a neat little YouTube setup here for my channel. However, since then, of course, I've done lots of stuff here, as you can visibly see, and lots of stuff has changed with the setup over the past year or so. So I sort of want to come back and sort of do a recap on everything that's happened after March of 2021, and also do the final tour and show you guys what the finished space pretty much looks like as of now. Now, of course, I should clarify too, stuff may change even moving forward from this. I kind of like to change things up from now and then, so I may move some stuff around, I may rearrange the background a bit. So this might not be the finished way this setup is going to look, but if I made it to where this was the finished way it would look, this video would probably be delayed for years and years until I eventually move out of here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it now, because this is basically sort of the finished look and feel of what it's going to be like, and we basically got to the point where it's functional and all the major stuff has been taken care of. So let's go ahead and hop right into this video. So starting off, here's a quick clip of what the YouTube setup looked like at the conclusion of the previous part, and as you can see, it's somewhat taking shape, but there's still quite a few things I wanted to do to it. The first thing I did after that video was adding some corner shelves to the back of the YouTube setup. The main reason I wanted to do this was to make the setup look a little bit less plain and empty like it did before, and also so I could put more props on display in the background. These shelves are actually made out of some old corner shelf pieces from an outdoor tent that I repurposed, and they easily screw right into the wall in the corner here. I found this to be much easier than making shelves from scratch out of wood, and it's much more convenient since we already had a few of these laying around. Since I wanted a solid surface for these shelves on the top, I went ahead and glued a sheet of cardboard on top of the shelves themselves and painted it. These shelves aren't going to be holding anything heavy anyway, so I wasn't too concerned about any issues regarding structural integrity. Later on, I also ended up adding some RGB lights too underneath the second shelf here at the top. And this was basically how the setup stayed for the most part until July, when I started making some more big changes. My parents were cleaning out and organizing stuff in this room in the basement, which gave me the chance to change up a few things with the editing desk side of the studio. For one, I was able to finally open up the space a lot more than before, as we were able to get rid of some of the shelves that were previously in the way and scoot the other shelves back farther. I also came up with the idea to paint the old Apple logo pattern on the wall behind my desk, as it would make the wall look slightly less boring and would make a cool background to film in front of if I ever decided to do so. The first thing I needed to do was sketch the pattern I wanted to do out onto the wall with pencil. This would allow me to get an idea of how it was going to look, and it also made it easier to paint. The next step, of course, is painting it, which turned out to be a lot harder than I originally assumed, due to the fact that the wall isn't really a flat surface, and I couldn't really use tape to mask it. Also, I didn't have exactly the correct shade of purple, unfortunately, so I had to use a slightly lighter color, which looks fine, but hopefully I'll be able to find a better matching color in the future. I also decided to finally move my desk from upstairs down here and use it instead of the old dining room table I'd been using up to that point. This would save lots of space that was previously taken up by the large table. So at this point, everything was pretty much finished and looking good. However, there is still one more major thing I wanted to do, and that was build a new studio desk. Now, I've been using this specific folding table here pretty much since the beginning of my YouTube channel, and it's worked pretty well in all my previous filming spaces. However, I put so much time and effort into the rest of this space to try to make it look and feel the best I can, and the folding table is starting to feel out of place with the rest of my setup. For one, it's kind of ugly and messes with the camera exposure, and I've also had to prop it up on wooden blocks to make it tall enough to be a stand-behind desk. It also scoots around sometimes and is also pretty small, which can be limiting for some projects, especially restorations. If you remember back to the first part of the series, we removed an old corner desk from the room. Well, it turns out I actually kept the desktop from that, and I think I could possibly repurpose this into a really nice stand-behind desk for my YouTube setup that would also be practical for restorations and any projects I wanted to do on it. So with that planned out, we got to work constructing this table. Now, unfortunately, I didn't really film much of the building process for this, as it was a pretty big project and it was also really hot outside when we were building it. Plus, both my dad, who was helping me with this table, and I didn't want to have to be outside all day and just wanted to get it done. So I only got a few pictures of the progress that I'm showing right now. And here's the finished table ready to be moved downstairs to my YouTube setup. At this time, I also went ahead and removed the folding table and all the stuff I was storing on it from the set so that I could put the new desk there, and then I could finally slide the new one into place. I based the design for this new table off of the 8-Bit Guy's old YouTube set, as I think it looks pretty cool and I like the style of it. However, I gave it my own touch and made it unique to my channel and setup style, and I also added some RGB lights to one end of the table to make it look cooler on camera and also match the top shelf better that I showed you earlier. So, at this point I've caught you up with the building process of the space, so at this point I sort of want to show you guys just a general tour of the new YouTube setup here. Or I say new, I've had it for almost a year now, but whatever, big deal. I'm going to start back over here in this corner, and I haven't decided 100% how I'm going to do this, so I'm not entirely sure how the end result of this tour is going to come out, but basically my plan is I have this camera set up here pointing at the entire space, and then if I want to show anything in more close-up, I have my phone camera here, so hopefully this will work out well. But anyway, basically I'm going to start back here in this corner where I keep most of my collectible computers and just some interesting items and trinkets and stuff that I want to put on display here. This is sort of the back right-hand corner. The main A-roll YouTube setup is right over here, and the editing desk is right across from me, where the camera is currently. And so basically that's just to give you an idea of where everything is if you aren't aware of it. But basically these shelves here are just some shelves that I keep some of the more collectible computers on here, like these MacBooks here and some of the compact Macs and stuff like that. And I also have a few other interesting things here. For example, I have the compact I just did a video on the shelf. I have some floppy disks, some old AV equipment down here, and also my color monitor and a zip 250 drive for the PC. This shelf over here is very similar as to what I put on it. All of this stuff up here, like these hard drive brackets, oh, that sucks. Anyway, as I was saying, all of this stuff up here, like these hard drive brackets, these blue SCSI brackets, and this blue SCSI, this isn't normally here. This is just put here because I don't have anywhere better to put it. But this Macintosh SE and this little cardboard thing I randomly made one day and I didn't know what to do does usually stay here, as well as everything down here. So basically it's just more of the same that's on this shelf. It's a little bit less organized as to what I put on each shelf, but I got the Mac LC, I've got a broken compact Mac CRT monitor here, I've got the Commodore 64, I also have my image writer printer, which is a really cool printer, by the way, and I hope to get it working someday with the Macs. It does work with the 2C, but I can't figure out why it doesn't want to work with the Macs, so for now I can't really do much with that. I also have the Nintendo Entertainment System here, which I still need to fix. It's still having some issues, and then I plan to actually do a big video on that at some point. I've got some random big box PC software on top of it, and then I have a Apple monochrome monitor for the 2C. It's a composite monitor down here, and a old film projector. So these are just some interesting items I have in my collection that I want to put on display, and I think look cool, and they always grab people's attention when I bring them in here. They see all this stuff, and so I guess it's sort of doing its job in that regard. But yeah, that's basically all I do in this corner. Sometimes I'll use this as like a sort of a background for some videos. You might have seen some videos where I've used this, but for the most part this stays off camera until I can really find a good reason to use it. I might actually use it for the podcast, but I'm not sure. But that's what this corner is. Moving on now. Okay, so moving forward to the right a little bit. Here we have the main A-roll YouTube setup here. This is where you've probably seen most of my videos take place. Usually I do all my restoration stuff over here. All of my intros, outros, just pretty much most of my content is filmed at this location here. You saw earlier this table here, this sort of stand behind YouTube desk thing here. I built that. Overall, this setup is pretty good. It's done what it's needed to do. I made some small changes to it as well that I didn't mention earlier. For example, I put up some better sound ending foam here, and I also put some up on the ceiling. You can't see that. I also now have this microphone finally permanently mounted up here. I used to have it on like a stand or something, but it was just a pain, so got rid of that and I put it up there. As you can see here, we have the corner shelves that I showed you earlier with the RGB and everything. By the way, I figure I could mention this now. Some people have been complaining about the RGB on these on this top shelf being too distracting because I had it on like a rainbow pattern. I apologize about that. I didn't realize it was that distracting because I wasn't really paying direct attention to it, but apparently it was flashing really fast, and now that I see it, I can definitely see why people will be distracted by it. So, sorry about that. That's my mistake there. Hopefully I can figure out either how to slow it down or just how to, or just find a good still color to keep it on or something like that. I might even just swap out the controller if I really want that sort of pattern or color changing sort of mode or whatever you call it. Anyway, I also use this desk too to store some stuff underneath here. As you can see here, I got the iMac down here on the floor. I also have the case for the 486 laptop that was donated to the channel by Dave's Vintage Apple Tech as part of his 500 subscriber giveaway. And I just have some various laptop bags. I may actually be adding like a secondary sort of level to this, like a shelf under here, so I could put some more stuff, because I had a lot more stuff under here that I've had to relocate, just because I don't really have enough room, horizontal room underneath this desk anymore like I used to, so maybe I'll do something about that in the future, but for now it works fine. It looks really nice on camera, and I'm super happy with it. It's also pretty sturdy too. Yeah, that's this, and I can't really think of anything else to point out here. I guess the shelf here, I'm not sure if you can see that. This is where I store all the chemicals and various things like that I use for restoring vintage computers. But other than that, I think it's time we move forward a bit to the editing desk over here. So let's do that. And this here is the editing desk, and it's basically where I do all the video editing and computer-related tasks for this channel and just in general. As you can see here, since the beginning of the video, I have swapped this desk out. It used to be a little dining room table, but it's now my computer desk that I used to have upstairs that I used both in my old YouTube setup, and also I used it as sort of a soldering and lab bench type thing after I moved down here briefly, before, of course, it becoming my desk down here. Also, you might notice the table I used to use over there is now over here. I have it sort of in an L-shaped configuration, and this I use as sort of the new area for soldering and just troubleshooting and, you know, repairs and stuff like that are more in-depth and more detailed stuff. I could also do soldering and stuff over there on that workbench slash studio desk, but it's just a pain because you can't really just sit down and like work on something. You have to stand up around it, and I just prefer to solder over there at this desk here. And as you can see here too, it might not come across well, so I'll have to use this camera, but I also made this neat little work mat here that has the logo on it. I might try to do like sort of a top-down sort of shot for that, but I'm not really sure how easy that will be to configure, and it really just depends on whether or not I can figure out how to mount a tripod easily on this table surface or not. But that's definitely something we could see in the future, some top-down shots from there. Other than that, this desk here is where I have my main computer set up. As a matter of fact, I'm currently editing this video right now. As I said earlier, it's where I do all the editing, all the social media stuff, all the uploading, rendering, pretty much everything. I just got a new computer recently too, which helps a lot with that. This has a much better GPU and CPU and just everything than my old one did, so that makes the video stuff a whole lot easier. I'm not really going to go like into depth on like my computer setup or peripherals or anything in this video. If you guys are interested in seeing that, let me know, and I can do something for my side channel, Crazy Tech Reviews Random Things, if you guys would find that interesting. That's pretty much all for this. Over here you can just barely see a white shelf. that is where I store all of my camera equipment, some of my smaller, like desktop tripods, stuff like that, a few microphone things, the webcams, camera batteries. I also have the audio interface in there as well as the remote for the RGB for the main YouTube setup, and some headphones, stuff like that. This is mainly just sort of a shelf for equipment. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it there. I kind of like it. There, it makes it easy because I can just set the cameras and stuff all right there, and it gives me a nice place to store them. But I don't really know if I'm going to keep it permanently, but it's there for the moment, and it's going to be included in this video. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the editing desk sort of area. Honestly, this is probably I'm pretty proud of how this area turned out. I really think the Apple logo stripe pattern looks pretty cool. I wish I could have done a better job of polishing it up and making it look good, but hey, I guess you just gotta appreciate that you have it to begin with. So, yeah, and I'm also pretty happy too with how this little L-shaped thing worked out. I think it looks pretty cool, and it definitely makes the space feel a lot better to work in. Having this new desk and all of this stuff here. So yeah, that's it for the editing side of the space, and now we're going to turn this way, and that will probably be the last thing I'm going to show. Okay, so moving forward this way, this is probably the least attractive and the most boring part of this setup space, but these here are some of the shelving units I use to store some of the less interesting or just anything I can't really put on display easily. So for example, in this bin I have a lot of electronics component stuff, some screws, mounting brackets, things like that. I also keep tools over here. I've got screwdrivers, pliers, just general tools I might need for just working on these computers or just doing things in general. I keep all that stuff right here. I have all of my cables all organized into different categories, like power cable, or these are actually power bricks, power cables, mice, joysticks, Ethernet cables, any kind of serial or parallel cables, stuff like that, USB, and then just miscellaneous stuff. I have all that sorted out. It makes it so much easier to find cables. Now I just need to actually go through and properly wrap all the cables up and put them in zip ties and stuff. Up here in the top, this isn't really related to the channel. This is just an old motocross helmet I have from dirt biking and stuff, but that's not really important, so we're going to ignore that. We have some miscellaneous computer parts here. This is actually in the cloth cover for this. This is a helping hands contraption. It's basically one of those little soldering things that has like a magnifying glass on it and some little alligator clips to like hold stuff while you're soldering it. Very handy. I highly recommend you get one of those if you don't already have one. I actually have the box here for the camera too that I'm filming on right now. I keep that there as well as the Blue Yeti box. It's not really that important. I have a filing cabinet over here. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it's there. Trash can. Over here, these are more of like just computer parts for just more of like hard drives, for instance. I have like CD drives, 5 1/4 inch floppies, 3 1/2 inch floppy drives. A random flight joystick I need to move somewhere else. I have power supplies, motherboards, and expansion cards. RAMs in there somewhere. I've got coolers and fans. Just general PC parts that you might need when building PCs or when maintaining electronics and stuff like that. There's also some Mac hard drives, some SCSI hard drives, and various other things in these tubs here and stuff. So mainly just standard computer parts and stuff like that. Down here I actually have a few computers. I have this old HP computer here. I think there's a Mac in there somewhere, a Mac Mini. Just some of my PC stuff here, and also up here we have some, this is mainly just like computer storage media, like floppy disks, CDs, DVDs. I think there's a few zip disks in there, and some video game cartridges for like the Nintendo and Sega and stuff like that. So mainly just like data storage medium stuff goes in here. Up here I actually have a box full of manuals for computers and documentation and interesting stuff like that. So all of my user manuals, any kind of documentation or something that would come with a computer. I actually just dug up some of the manuals for the iMac I showed you earlier. I found those, so that's pretty cool. Up here at the top, if you could still see, everything up here. I have a box full of keyboards. By the way, this box probably weighs about 70 to 100 pounds. It is a lot of keyboards. I can barely get it up here. Some paper computer models I'm probably going to end up recycling. I don't really have a use for them, but they're kind of cool. And up here is just broken or miscellaneous electronics items that I just need to store somewhere. Like I think there's an old DVD player in there, a laptop that actually does work. That's actually an old laptop of mine that does still work, and yeah. And I also have the portable radios that I still am trying to work on the video for, so I have not forgot about these. Well, I kind of have, but I have not forgot about these. The video will come at some point, but it's just sort of hit or miss when it comes to stuff like this on YouTube. But yeah, I got those up there. The other two are, of course, on the setup. You can see them all the time. But yeah, so that's really all this is. It's mainly just storage for stuff that's less interesting, tools, parts, just stuff that I need to keep around in case I'm restoring something and I need, you know, a given part, or I need a certain tool for a certain thing. So that's pretty much what all this is. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the studio space here that I have been filming in. And so this here is essentially the finished look and feel of the YouTube set for this channel. Now, I'm probably going to change certain things over the years as time goes on, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, but for the most part, this is how it's probably going to stay. I might change up the things in the background a bit. I might, you know, add a shelf or move some stuff, but generally speaking, this is sort of what the room is going to be like. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you guys all for subscribing and supporting the channel and making this space justifiable. And also, I'd like to quickly mention that we are almost about to pass 400 subscribers now, which is kind of crazy, actually. Just a year ago, we had under 100 at this point. So the fact that we have 400 now is certainly an improvement for sure. So thanks to everyone new who has subscribed over the past year, and thanks to anybody who is considering subscribing or just even watches a single one of my videos. You have all contributed in some way to my YouTube channel. So, with that said, I'd like to quickly talk about some things that are upcoming to be looking forward to in the future here. For one, I mentioned in my previous video that I was going to be doing a restoration on my Macintosh SE. Well, that's probably going to be the next video you'll see on the channel, actually, so stay tuned for that. And also, there's several other interesting things to be looking forward to. But at this point, this pretty much concludes my videos on the YouTube studio itself. So with that out of the way, I'd like to go ahead and thank everybody for watching. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. And with that said, I'll see you guys all next time.